Have you ever imagined like an AI that could think for itself? One that learns to solve problems like math problems or coding problems
Yeah.
without actually being taught how to do it.
It's a really cool concept.
It is.
And that's what we're looking at today with this new model.
Yeah. So we're going to dive deep into this paper and figure out what DeepSeek R1 is all about.
Okay, so the paper focuses on DeepSeek R1.
It does.
But to understand it, we need to start with its predecessor,
Right.
DeepSeek R1 Zero.
DeepSeek R1 Zero.
Now, usually when you train an AI model, you feed it a ton of data that's been labeled.
Kind of like showing a kid pictures of cats and dogs over and over again, telling them what's what.
Yeah.
But DeepSeek R1 Zero, it starts with almost nothing.
Right.
Just a base model.
Like a blank slate.
Yeah, almost like giving someone all the pieces of a puzzle but no picture to follow.
Yeah.
And saying, good luck.
Exactly. And that's where this concept of reinforcement learning comes in.
Okay, reinforcement learning.
You can think of it like learning to ride a bike.
Okay.
You fall, you adjust, and eventually you get the hang of it.
You get there.
DeepSeek R1 Zero learns in a similar way.
So it's trial and error.
Through trial and error, it gets rewarded when it solves problems correctly.
Oh, so it's like it's motivated to...
Motivated to keep getting better.
Yeah.
To improve its performance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what kind of problems is it actually solving?
Well, the researchers, they were really surprised by this.
Okay.
They found that DeepSeek R1 Zero started to show signs of like complex reasoning.
Oh, wow.
Like it even started reflecting, which means it would revisit its steps to check for errors.
Oh, so it's like double checking its work.
Exactly, like it's thinking, oh, did I make a mistake here?
That's so cool.
And there's this great example in the paper.
Oh, yeah.
In Table 3.
Table 3.
Where it almost sounds like the model is having an aha moment while it's trying to solve this math problem.
Like it's talking.
It's almost like it's thinking out loud, you know?
Oh, wow. So like as if it's realizing it needs to adjust its approach.
Yeah, exactly.
And this self-evolution that's driven by the reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
That's at the core of its success.
It's what allows it to continuously learn and get better at problem solving.
So it's constantly learning and evolving.
All the time.
Based on the feedback it gets.
Exactly.
That's wild. Okay, so how do they actually measure its progress?
So they tested it on things like standardized tests.
Like the SATs?
Yeah, like the American Invocational Mathematics Examination.
Or AIM?
Yeah, AIM.
And that's like a seriously hard math exam.
It is.
I remember taking that back in high school.
Not easy.
Not easy at all.
And they show in Figure 2 of the paper how DeepSeek R1 Zero's scores improve.
So we can actually see its progress.
Yeah, dramatically. As it learns, like, its average score goes from, like, 15.6%.
Which is...
pretty bad.
Yeah, that's failing.
All the way up to 71%.
Oh, wow. That's a huge jump.
A massive improvement.
Okay, so DeepSeek R1 Zero sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there were some limitations.
Yeah, so DeepSeek R1 Zero wasn't perfect.
Okay.
It had some quirks, like sometimes it would mix languages in its outputs.
That's interesting.
So to make it more user-friendly, the researchers created DeepSeek R1.
Okay, DeepSeek R1.
Which uses this thing called a cold start dataset during its training.
Cold start? What is that?
So instead of starting with a completely blank slate, they give DeepSeek R1 a little nudge in the right direction.
Okay, so it's like giving it a little head start.
A little bit of a boost, you know,
Right.
some basic information to work with.
Okay, so it's not starting from absolute zero.
Not completely from scratch.
Got
It's like giving someone a basic set of tools and instructions
Okay.
before letting them loose on a complex project.
I see. So it's like setting it up for success,
Exactly.
but still giving it the freedom to learn and grow.
Yeah.
So how did this cold start approach actually change the training process?
So it led to this 4-stage training pipeline
Okay, 4 stages.
for DeepSeek R1.
And this is different from how DeepSeek R1 Zero was trained.
Yes, it's a more structured approach.
Okay, tell me about these 4 stages.
Well, it cleverly balances this human guidance
Okay.
with the model's own self-discovery through reinforcement learning.
Okay, so it's still got that reinforcement learning element.
It does. It's still learning and adapting on its own.
But it's got this extra help at the beginning.
A little bit of a head start.
Okay, I like it. So what are the stages?
So the first stage is pre-training,
Okay.
where DeepSeek R1 is exposed to this massive data set of text and code.
So it's like learning the basics of language.
Yeah, developing a basic understanding of language and problem solving. Then in the supervised fine-tuning stage,
Okay, stage 2.
it's trained on a smaller curated data set of problems and solutions.
So this is where it starts to get specific.
Exactly. It starts to learn specific strategies and techniques.
For different types of problems,
Yeah.
like if it's a math problem versus a coding problem.
Yeah, it's like having a coach
Oh, I see.
who can guide you
Okay.
and point out your mistakes.
That's okay. So it's got that feedback loop.
Yeah, constant feedback to help it improve.
That makes sense.
And then the next stage,
This is stage 3.
stage 3 is training a reward model.
A reward model. Okay, what's that?
It's basically a separate AI system that can evaluate the quality of DeepSeek R1's solutions.
So it's like a judge.
Yeah, like a judge who can tell you if your answer is correct or not.
Okay, so DeepSeek R1 is getting feedback on its feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Like feedback squared.
It's getting pretty meta.
That's cool.
And then this reward model is used to guide the final stage of training, which is
Okay.
reinforcement learning.
Back to reinforcement learning.
So in this stage, DeepSeek R1 is given a set of problems to solve,
Okay.
and it uses the feedback from the reward model to improve its performance over time.
Oh, so it's like having a personal trainer?
Yeah, like a trainer who's pushing you to do better,
Okay. And this trainer is constantly evaluating
constantly evaluating,
DeepSeek R1's solutions
giving it instant feedback.
to make sure it's staying on track.
Exactly.
Okay, so this 4-stage process,
That's what allows DeepSeek R1 to achieve these remarkable results.
it's like a carefully crafted training regimen.
Yeah, it's a pretty sophisticated system.
So once DeepSeek R1 was all trained up,
Yeah.
they put it to the test, right?
They tested it on all sorts of different reasoning tasks, like math coding,
Oh, wow.
all sorts of things.
So they really wanted to see what it could do.
They wanted to push it to its limits.
And how did it perform?
Well, they even put it up against some of the most advanced AI systems out there,
Like, what other models are we talking about?
like models from OpenAI.
Okay. Like O1 Mini and O1 1217.
Okay, those are some big names in the AI world.
They are some of the leading models.
So it was up against some tough competition.
Yeah, it was a real challenge. And DeepSeek R1 held its own.
It did.
It even beat the competition in certain areas.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is.
So where can we find all these results? Like, how do we know how well it did?
So they break it all down in Table 4 of the paper.
Table 4.
They compare scores across different benchmarks.
Oh, cool. So we can actually see how it stacks up against the other models.
You can see exactly how it performed head-to-head.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's like a real AI showdown.
It is a battle of the AIs.
I love it. Okay, so DeepSeek R1 is clearly a powerful AI.
It is a very impressive model.
But one thing that stood out to me in the paper
Yeah.
was the researchers' commitment to making this technology accessible
Right.
to more people.
They wanted to make sure that everyone could benefit from it.
Yeah, and that's why they started looking at distilling DeepSeek R1's knowledge.
Into smaller, more efficient models.
Right.
So it's like taking a huge encyclopedia
Yeah.
and condensing it down into a handy pocket guide.
Exactly.
You're still getting the key information
These essential knowledge.
in a much more manageable format.
Yeah, a more accessible format.
Okay, I like that analogy. So why is this distillation process so important?
Well, it's all about making advanced AI accessible to people with limited computing resources.
So not everyone has access to these supercomputers.
Exactly. So distillation allows them to still utilize the power of AI.
Even if they don't have the latest and greatest hardware.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's like taking the essence of a master chef's knowledge
Okay.
and putting it into a cookbook that anyone can use.
So it's democratizing AI in a way.
Yeah, making it available to a wider audience.
That's awesome. And how did these distilled models actually perform?
Well, the results were incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Even the smaller versions of DeepSeek R1, like the 7B model, achieved amazing results.
7B, what does that mean?
So that refers to the size of the model,
Okay.
the number of parameters it has.
So a smaller model means it's more efficient.
Exactly. It requires less computing power to run.
Okay. And they were still getting great results.
Yeah, they were still able to achieve really impressive performance.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they have all the scores in Table 5 of the paper
Okay.
showing that even a distilled 7B model could outperform larger models,
Oh, wow.
like GPT 400532.
So smaller doesn't necessarily mean weaker.
Not at all.
That's really cool. Okay, so they did distillation,
Yes.
but they didn't just stop there, right?
They tried out some other techniques too,
Okay, like what?
like process reward models
Okay.
and Monte Carlo tree search.
Those sound pretty complex.
They're more advanced techniques.
And what were they hoping to achieve with these?
Well, they were hoping to make DeepSeek R1 even better.
Even better.
Yeah, they were always trying to push the boundaries.
So what are process reward models and Monte Carlo tree search in a nutshell?
So process reward model. Okay. It's like giving someone points for showing their work,
Oh.
not just for getting the final answer.
So it's about rewarding the process.
Exactly. It's about providing more detailed feedback during training.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Monte Carlo tree search.
Okay.
It's a more advanced search algorithm that explores different possible solutions before choosing the best one.
So it's like planning ahead.
Yeah, it's like playing chess and trying to figure out your next move.
Okay.
Monte Carlo tree search would simulate thousands of different moves.
Oh, wow.
And then recommend the one that's most likely to lead to victory.
So it's like having a superpowered chess computer.
Yeah, it's a very powerful tool.
Okay, so they tried these fancy techniques.
They did, but they didn't quite work as well as they hoped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like they tried giving DeepSeek R1 this shiny new set of tools. Yeah. But it turned out the original approach was already working really well.
So sometimes the simplest solution is the best.
Often the case, especially in AI research.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Okay, so DeepSeek R1, it's not perfect.
Right.
It still has some limitations.
It does.
What are some of the things that it struggles with?
Well, sometimes it mixes up languages in its output.
Still
a little bit of that going on.
Okay.
And it can be sensitive to how you phrase the questions.
Oh, so the way you ask the question matters.
It can influence the response.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important to acknowledge these limitations.
Yeah.
So we have a realistic picture of where the technology's at.
Exactly.
But it's still early days, right?
It is.
Like this, just the beginning for DeepSeek R1.
It's like the first successful flight of an airplane.
I love that analogy.
A major milestone. But there's still so much room for improvement.
Yeah, so much potential.
So much potential.
Okay, so what's next for DeepSeek R1?
Well, the researchers are already working on improving its general capabilities, making it even more powerful and versatile.
So it can tackle even more complex problems?
Exactly.
And be even more helpful. I like it.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is.
And with all the advancements that are happening in AI right now, it's just incredible to think about what the future holds.
Who knows what breakthroughs we might see in the years to come.
It's going to be wild.
It is. It's an exciting time to be following AI.
Definitely. Okay, so to wrap things up.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've talked about DeepSeek R1.
DeepSeek R1.
This amazing new AI.
It can learn to reason and solve problems like a human.
Almost like a human.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And we've talked about the research paper.
The paper on Akatsuv.
That details all the technical ins and outs of how it works.
Yes.
So if you're interested in learning more,
definitely check it out.
We highly recommend giving it a read.
It's a fascinating read.
It is.
Even if you're not super technical.
Yeah.
They do a good job of explaining things.
They do.
In a way that's relatively easy to understand.
Okay, so before we move on to part 2.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that we're witnessing a really fundamental shift.
Okay.
In what AI is capable of.
Like it's not just about playing games anymore.
Not just games.
It's about real problem solving.
Real problem solving.
That can impact the world.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into the implications of DeepSeek R1.
We'll explore the potential impact.
And discuss what it means for the future of AI.
Hey, it's going to be a good one.
Can't wait to see you there.
See you there. This research really makes you think about the future of AI, you know?
It does.
Like what if we had models that could not only solve these complex problems, but could actually explain their reasoning in a way that we could understand?
Right, like so we could learn from them.
Exactly. Like imagine if we could see how they're thinking.
That would be incredible.
It would be a game changer.
Yeah, and think about the potential impact on things like education.
Oh, yeah.
Like imagine having personalized learning plans.
Tailored to each student's needs.
Yeah, with like an AI tutor.
An AI tutor that can adapt to your learning style.
And guide you through all those challenging concepts.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
And it's not just education either.
Right.
This kind of AI could have a huge impact on so many different fields.
Like what else are you thinking of?
Scientific research engineering, even creative problem solving.
Yeah.
Like, it could help us tackle some of the world's biggest problems.
The really tough challenges.
Exactly.
Speaking of making an impact, the researchers made a pretty big decision with DeepSeek R1.
They did.
They decided to make it, and all its distilled models, open source.
Open source.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's huge.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a game changer because it means anyone can use them, build upon them, experiment with them.
So it's like opening up the possibilities.
Exactly. It empowers the entire community to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
So it's like a real collaborative effort.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, we made this amazing discovery and we want everyone to benefit from it.
I love that it's a really cool approach.
And it also helps to address some of those concerns people have about AI,
The risks.
Yeah, the potential risks.
Because it's all out in the open.
By making the technology transparent and accessible,
Right.
it encourages a broader understanding of how it works.
Which can help to identify and mitigate any potential issues.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's circle back to where we started this deep dive.
Yeah.
That research paper on RCEIV.
That's right.
If someone wants to really get into the nitty-gritty of DeepSeek R1, would you recommend checking it out?
Absolutely. The paper provides a really comprehensive look at everything.
Like what kind of things are we talking about?
Well, it covers the model's architecture, the training process, the evaluation results.
So it's really detailed.
It is very thorough.
And would you say it's only for people who are like super technical?
Well, it's definitely a must-read for anyone who's really into the technical side of things.
Yeah.
But even if you're not super technical, I think it's still worth skimming through.
Okay.
Because the authors did a great job of explaining some of those key concepts
Okay.
in a way that's relatively easy to understand.
So you can still get a lot out of it.
You can definitely get a good overview.
Even if you're not a computer scientist.
Exactly.
I like it. And for you personally, what were some of the things that stood out to you in the paper?
Well, one thing that really fascinated me was the discussion about DeepSeek R1's self-evolution.
Yeah, that was pretty mind-blowing.
It is incredible how it was able to develop those sophisticated reasoning behaviors
Right.
just through trial and error.
And the way it can seemingly reflect on its own work,
That's right.
that's just crazy to me.
And they even include an anecdote in there.
Oh yeah, the aha moment.
That's the one where it sounds like the model is rethinking its approach to a math problem.
Yeah, like it's having a realization.
Exactly.
And I also appreciate the researchers' commitment to transparency throughout the process.
Me too. They really lay it all out there.
Yeah, they talk about their successes and their setbacks.
Yeah, like those unsuccessful attempts with the process reward models and the Monte Carlo tree search.
Right. They don't shy away from the challenges.
Exactly.
It's a really honest look at the complexities of AI research.
And I think it's refreshing because there's often so much hype surrounding AI breakthroughs.
Yeah, it's good to have a balanced perspective.
Definitely.
And it also highlights the importance of human guidance in this whole process.
Right, because while DeepSeek R1 was impressive with its pure reinforcement learning,
Yeah.
its successor, DeepSeek R1, actually achieved even better performance.
Oh, yeah?
Thanks to that human-curated data that they incorporated into the training.
So it's like a partnership,
Yeah, human ingenuity and machine learning working together.
combining their
You
strengths.
create something truly extraordinary.
I like that. And speaking of extraordinary, those scores that DeepSeek R1 got on those standardized tests.
Yeah, like A-me.
Yeah, that's a testament to its reasoning and problem-solving abilities.
Absolutely. Those results are really impressive.
Especially when you compare them to other leading models.
Yeah, it shows just how effective their training approach was.
And it's pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
It's a major step forward.
In our quest to create AI that can think like humans.
Exactly.
And by making their work open source,
Right.
they're potentially accelerating the progress of the entire field.
Because they're inspiring others to build upon their innovations.
Explore new applications.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. It really makes you think
It does.
about the future of AI.
If AI can already reason at this level,
Yeah.
what's next?
What's coming down the line?
It's a question that's going to spark a lot of debate and fuel innovation for years to come.
It's an exciting time to be following AI.
It definitely is.
It really does make you think, huh?
It does.
Like if AI can already solve, those super tough math and coding problems,
Yeah,
what could be next,
right.
Could AI help us address like some of humanity's biggest challenges?
It's possible.
Like climate change?
Yeah.
Or finding cures for diseases?
I mean, it definitely has the potential.
Yeah.
Because think about it. It can process these huge amounts of data,
Right.
identify patterns, and come up with creative solutions.
So it could be really valuable when it comes to tackling those like multifaceted problems.
Exactly, those complex issues that we've been struggling with.
Yeah, and as these AI models get even more sophisticated
Right.
and accessible, imagine the impact they could have on just everyday life.
Oh, absolutely. Think about personalized learning.
Yeah.
Tailored to each student's needs.
Like an AI tutor for everyone.
Yeah, or AI-powered tools that help us make better decisions in our lives.
Oh, what's that good?
Or even AI assistants that can understand and respond to our emotions.
Wow, so an AI that's not just smart, but also empathetic?
Yeah, it's a fascinating area of research.
It is a really interesting concept.
But it also brings up some important ethical considerations.
Oh, right. Like, how do we make sure it's used responsibly?
Exactly as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to make sure that it aligns with our values.
It doesn't go off the rails.
Yeah, and that it actually promotes well-being for everyone.
Okay, so after this deep dive into DeepSeek R1,
Yeah.
what's the one big takeaway you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we're seeing a really fundamental shift in what AI is capable of.
It's like it's not just sci-fi anymore.
Right. It's becoming more and more real. And
Yeah.
DeepSeek R1 and models like it are showing us that AI is no longer limited to those like narrow tasks.
Right.
It's becoming a really powerful tool for reasoning, problem solving.
Even creativity.
And even creativity, exactly.
And as this technology keeps advancing,
Yeah,
it really has the potential to like reshape industries,
absolutely.
transform our lives, and even change how we think about intelligence itself.
It's a really exciting time to be involved in this field.
It's mind-blowing.
It is.
Okay, so anyone listening,
Yeah.
if you're as fascinated by DeepSeek R1 as we are, we highly recommend checking out that research paper.
Definitely.
It's a deep dive into all the technical details.
Yeah.
And trust us, it's worth exploring.
It is a really interesting read.
It is. And before we go, any final thoughts for our listeners? Something to ponder.
Okay, well, if AI can already learn to reason at this level,
Yeah.
what does that mean for the future of human ingenuity?